All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Friday morning into afternoon. Another KnicksFanTV Bleacher Report live simulcast. CP the franchise in the building. On today's show, hey, as the world turns, as the world burns, Knicks edition. We're going to give you some updates on the Knicks head coaching search. Plus, it is our Friday mailbag show. You guys submitted a ton of questions on Knicks Twitter, but you can also call us up on the KFTV Discord. Get your all-season questions in, and we will answer it. And joining me on today's show, a big-time friend of the program, and a rising star around this Knicks beat. He currently covers the New York Knicks for Clutch Points. Our guy, Kris Pursiainen, is in the building, man. So hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to all our franchise channel members. Salute to the replay gang. And remember that the show is also available in audio podcast format. Okay. Kris, how you feeling, man? How you feeling today, bro? Happy Friday, man.
I'm good. Happy Friday. Thanks for having me, CP. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Proud to be considered a friend of the program, and especially, nice, beautiful day.
Yeah.
What's better than this, man? Got some basketball to talk about. Got the finals going on. It's a good time of year, man.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year.
Beautiful day in New York, man. I'm with you. Can't complain as we head into the summer here. But, we're in the summer here without a head coach, man. So what are you hearing right now? What are you thinking about what's going on in terms of the Knicks head coaching search?
Yeah, to kind of combine the two, like what I'm hearing and what I think is going on is the Knicks are undergoing, I keep using the term comprehensive search. You could just call it a search if you want. It is a coaching search where you search for a coach. A lot of people wanted them to have the next guy lined right up. A lot of people wanted them to have no next guy. They wanted to have, still have the old guy. But I do think there's something to the fact that the team was in the Eastern Conference Finals. I just for everyone that says, "Oh, the Knicks should have been reaching out to people. This is what their relationships are for. This is why they hired this front office." You tell me what the optics are. If the Knicks don't lose Game 4, right? Say they still blow Game 1 the way they did. Say they still lose Game 2 at home. Tied 2-2, 3 games to go potentially in the series, and 2 of them are at Madison Square Garden, and all of a sudden you win those games. You're getting ready for a very orange and blue NBA Finals between the Knicks and Thunder, and all of a sudden there are reports that the Knicks were back channeling to try and replace their sitting head coach while he was winning the Eastern Conference Finals. You want to talk about a nightmare or a fiasco or a PR crisis? That's one. I've used this analogy on Twitter and in the reporting I've done for Clutch Points this week. I've tried to make clear that like the Knicks front office's job is not to hire. They didn't get hired and Dolan was like, all right, you're gonna hire a coach, and then after a little bit you're gonna fire that coach and then hire a better coach. Like, at all times, the Knicks front office's job is to make sure the team is doing everything it can be doing to be winning. And they determined that their relationship with Tom Thibodeau was one that was fruitful, successful overall, beneficial for both parties, something that the Knicks are very thankful for and appreciative of. And they also, I think it was pretty loud. CP, you might have had the same takeaway in Leon's statement. He goes, as an organization, we are singularly focused on winning. That's why we let Tom Thibodeau know he's being let go. So to me, it does feel a little bit like, you're seeing a nice young girl or a nice young man, and you're going out, grabbing dinners. You meet the parents after a while, and you're staying at her parents' house, and she's staying at yours, and then you do a Thanksgiving together, and a couple years in now, and you start thinking to yourself, I don't know who out there is perfect for me, but I know it's not this person, and I owe it to this person to let them know that now. You don't string along your girlfriend until you did speed dating, you talked to some other women, and then after going out on some dates with them, decided you're ready to hop into a relationship with the woman behind door B. And it's like, oh, well, now we're done with you because we're ready to move on here.
Yeah.
No, well, no. Listen. I know analogies aren't perfect, right? We're not legally required to have boyfriends or girlfriends. The Knicks are required to have a head coach of some kind. But I think that's kind of the sentiment there is the Knicks both are undergoing a comprehensive search for their next head coach and in the process of just touching base with a lot of coaches out there, utilizing their connections and relationships. I reported yesterday, Thursday, for Clutch Points, that a key member of the Knicks front office spoke with John Calipari about the opening. So, you know, that nothing's going to come of that. Nothing's going to come of the Chris Finch stuff. But this is just a team putting its ducks in a row, seeing which ducks are the top ducks that they'd like to make sure are at the top, and expecting those not to work out. They're now working their way down the rest of their list.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm with you. I'm seeing that the constant crying and belly aching about the plan. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think they have their targets. They have their people that they want to speak to, and they're going through the process. They're the only team in the league that's looking for a head coach. There is no rush in this to get it done. Yeah, ideally before the draft. Sure, you'd like to have a head coach in place. But the idea that, you know, why would you get rid of Tibbs if you don't have a guy lined up right away? I'm not really with that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't feel like he's the guy to take you to the top, we'll see if they're right or they're wrong. But if you don't feel like he's the guy to take you to the top, then there's no need to keep stringing it along, because there were clear issues. There were clear issues from the player standpoint. There were clear issues from how the organization was feeling about him as a coach in terms of what he was doing in terms of trying to make this team better. So if the issues are there, it's still going to go on into next season and beyond if you keep it that way. So again, if you don't believe that he is the guy for you, you thank him for his service, which we did, and you move on to the next candidate who you believe can get the job done. There is a risk involved, absolutely. But in sports, you got to take the risk. You got to take the gamble because you just never know where it might lead.
You'd rather be early than late, particularly as a contending team. Would you have preferred to find out with Jalen Brunson at 30 years old? And Karl Anthony Towns nearing 30, and Mikal Bridges nearing 30, and Josh Hart at 31. Would you like to find out in next June that it actually is time to move on from the coach? Or do you believe enough in the infrastructure you've set up as an organization to trust that someone else can come in? And I want to say it's 4 of like the last 12 NBA champions. It's a first-time new head coach. I know Kerr, right? We have Kerr and Nurse. I don't remember the other two off the top of my head, but they exist. I think. And I honestly, CP, I want to say like you made a good point when you brought up the no plan discourse. Does it not remind you a little bit of when the Knicks roster consisted of a leading man in Julius Randle, and supporting cast of R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Emmanuel Quickley, and fans were saying, well, Leon Rose was brought in to trade for all these stars, and we haven't traded for a 1-star yet. So clearly there's no plan. The Knicks front office has no plan. Yeah. And then the Knicks front office goes out and clears cap space for Jalen Brunson. They turn 1 first-round pick into 3. They use 6 second-round picks to dump contracts on Detroit, and they sign Jalen Brunson. Does that seem like the maneuverings of an organization that's just like pulling stuff out of their pocket as they walk down the street? Or does that seem like a plan? Just because you don't see a plan. And if you see a plan, just because you don't like a plan, doesn't mean there is no plan. Yeah. I think that's the easy critique right now of the Knicks front office. I will say this though, right? When organizations in sports are established and built, and there is a identity and cohesion, if they want to grow from that, there's going to be growing pains. And I think that's what the Knicks are undergoing right now is a media esque growing pain where everyone's looking at this team going, they have no direction. Meanwhile, the front office has been like zero dark 30
Right.
locked away on this coaching search. They've got like all hands on deck in the building on this coaching search. So that is that a plan? Does that count as a plan? Does leveraging their relationships around the industry, from college to professional coaches, and trying to touch base with people that they would be interested in seeing about, interviewing them, seeing if they're worth offering the position to, this, that, the third. It, just because that may not have been your plan, you being the listener, the writer, whoever it is, it doesn't mean there isn't a plan.
Yeah. Now, we are hearing that that Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown being considered. Shout out to our guy Ian Begley. He put Taylor Jenkins, saying that he is a square focus of the team right now. Mike Brown was a name that that we had brought up here when the Tibbs firing first occurred, and now it looks like he's also going to be getting a look and an interview, and we'll see where he is in the process. Let's start with Jenkins, man. What do you think? Pros, cons of Jenkins? You like it or not like it? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, great reporting as always by Ian with the Jenkins stuff. I can, for whatever it's worth, confirm that the Knicks have demonstrated some level of interest. They're getting in touch with him and his people. Looking to have more updates on that in the coming days. For me with Jenkins, he is someone who I think just around the league is known as like an NBA head coach. Like it's clear to people that this is not a quadruple A player that snuck into the minors. This is someone who understands what it takes to be the head coach of an NBA team and can actually do what it takes to be the head coach of an NBA team. You wonder if once the Knicks top options, Finch, Udoka, and we're still waiting on Kidd. They are not done with this Jason Kidd thing. But if they are forced to move past that top echelon of options, you are objectively now weighing pros and cons. Like you said, I think cons for Jenkins, an underrated one, is questioning and exploring, if you're the Knicks organization, the extent to which players that played in Memphis or or maybe out of the league now but played in, like, right, whoever you can talk to, the extent to which they feel Jenkins is responsible for the various missteps of the Grizzlies locker room over the years. So, obviously John Morant, we know, has a whole lot of headlines surrounding him, but like I think you can have this conversation without discussing him once. Dylan Brooks and his exit from that team.
It's big,
right?
It's big.
Dylan Brooks and what he was doing on the court that led to the team pretty much leaking to Shams, or I forget who reported it first, but the team has made it clear they don't want Brooks back under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Oh, you quit? Nuh-uh, you're fired, right? That is weird.
That was weird under any circumstances. We never heard that.
Who does that?
We never heard that. Yeah.
So to me, that is a team that still does not know whether or not it has a handle on its locker room, being like, we threw the brat out. He was throwing a crayon. He was drawing on the walls with crayons, and he threw his grilled cheese at Stephanie at lunchtime. And now he's at the principal's office, so the rest of the class magically all gonna behave. And it's like, watch what happens if you leave that classroom for 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. You're gonna come back and it's gonna be a Matisse on the whiteboard made out of like, I don't even know what the kids are gonna do. They're gonna do something terrible. And for the sake of the analogy, like, I'm curious about the extent to which Jenkins' management or lack thereof of the locker room led to such a public exodus from Dylan Brooks, who, by the way, can we just say is a good NBA player?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the guy is Allen Houston. I think the guy is a rotation player on a contender. And the Grizzlies were like, well, we're not that good, but we know we're too good for you. And that says to me, who allowed the locker room to get in that situation where by the end of the year, these guys were ready to push this dude off a cliff to get him out of Memphis? And two, who thought that was a good way to handle it? Like, who thought the best way to handle it was saying, oh, well, we're good now because we're without him? No, we're focused on ourselves. We just got to go 1-0 today. There's even all the coach speaky words. Well, and then you look back at the bench this past season before Jenkins is fired. Right before he's fired, you get a little a kerfuffle. You get some hubbub, some hoopla, some hullabaloo on the Grizzlies sideline. You got right, it was Santi Aldama and who else was it? Was it Des Bane? They were
Well, yeah,
shoving each
yeah,
other,
yeah. It was Bane and Aldama. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
shoving
yeah.
each other on the. So that's not always like empirical proof that a coach can't coach. My
Right.
question is, in Jenkins' tenure, we had all the different Morant stuff, which should count for 3 headlines.
Sure.
Maybe none of it. Maybe Jenkins was doing everything he could have been doing, but it happened. And the Dylan Brooks stuff, and the Aldama Bane stuff. It kind of gets to the point where I'm like, huh, are these trends, or did this guy get a bad shake?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'd be a little bit leery, and I'd love to bring in, if they do make the move, I'd love to bring in my guy Chris Vernon to speak more on it. When we did have him on and we previewed the Knicks versus Grizzlies series, it didn't seem like at that point, he was so high on the coach. But again, I wouldn't be so, I wouldn't lock in on his firing and what happened there. Because like you said, there's a lot of factors. Was the locker room intact? The Ja situation is major. The different directions that they were pulling in terms of the coaching staff, in terms of the assistant coaches that they brought in, 2 different philosophies, 2 different offenses. I thought there was a lot there that really, torpedoed his tenure there.
How about drafting the best back to the basket big that the college game has seen? Not in my lifetime, because I want to say like Jahlil Okafor and AD did their thing on tape, but like Edie, the best back to the basket big of the decade, perhaps in college basketball at bare minimum, and they drafted him, and they were like, all right, we used the top 10 pick on a 7'4" lean screen machine. What if we ran an offense where we never set a screen? It's like a Nathan Fielder rehearsal type
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally Nathan Fielder, I can see him being like, so we're going to trick these other NBA teams. We're going to get in their heads. We're going to draft this screen setting pick and roll big, and we're not going to run pick and roll once all season. And I'm sitting there like, hello? Like, why didn't you draft Khalil Ware?
Right.
He
Yeah.
can shoot.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? It's no surprise to me that Edie's offensive production, like, hextupled when they made the coaching switch. That there was just
Too many
screens were being
chefs.
set.
Too many chefs in the kitchen, man. But hey, one thing you could say is, look, when he was there, Memphis was, for the most part, a lot of times near the top of the West with a team that I thought was lacking the star power outside of Ja. Triple J is a good player, but by and large, I thought he got the most out of those teams for the most part during his tenure. Their pace, they were always at the top of the league in pace. Maybe that's something that he can bring to the Knicks. I know under Tibbs, the pace was a lot slower. Now, do we have the personnel to do that? Obviously, a lot of that was predicated in Memphis on Ja's athleticism and his speed. Can Brunson do that? I feel like this Knicks team needs to play a little bit faster. Is that something that Taylor Jenkins can bring there? And hey, he's also the anti-Tibbs. If you want a guy that's going to play the whole damn team, Taylor Jenkins is your guy. And for the Memphis fan, sometimes that was a little too much, if you think about it.
No, I get it. And they have good depth in Memphis. I wrote an article at the end of the regular season for Clutch Point saying the Knicks needed to expand their rotation and not in the way that fans thought. I wanted DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet to be in that rotation, not Kolek and Dottier. Not, I think the veterans were the clear next step there.
Yeah.
And they ended up, some of them ended up coming up real big in the playoffs. So is Jenkins someone who can get you the most out of that full squad? Maybe there's an interesting parallel. Jackson Jr. and Towns, neither one a traditional big man. Tripp, definitely not a rebounder. Carl, definitely not a defender. Despite those 2 unorthodox pillars of their games, they're really good players.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something, with someone like Taylor Jenkins where, like, I don't know. This is maybe too deep, but like there's a hypothesis that explains that like the language you learned about the world in has a lot to do with how you view the world. Like maybe Emmanuel Quickly and Karl Anthony Towns and some of these newfangled basketball players. Like I think if you say the game passed Tom Thibodeau by, you're horribly wrong. But I do think there's something to, was Tom Thibodeau's basketball philosophy built on a different sport to an extent where guys like quickly bombing from 30 but not pressuring the rim, guys like Towns playing center and power forward but not being able to be the anchor of a defense. Like, was that a step too far? Could someone like Jenkins do the Will Hardy approach
Yeah.
of take all the pieces you've got and throw them out and say, all right, now let's try and piece them together? Because Tom Thibodeau, when putting the puzzle together, he did it logically. He said, all right, this is a corner piece. This is a corner piece. Now these two connect in this way. They need this, this, this. So we're going to set that up. Here's another corner piece. He did it very logically. Taylor Jenkins, I think, may have the ability to just throw all the pieces out on the table and say, kind of looks like a gaggle of geese. Can we put that together like this? Can we? And ends up making a pretty picture out of it, even if it's not whatever the hell was supposed to be on the box.
Give me your thoughts on Mike Brown. Just keeping an eye on the time because I want to get to the mailbag.
Of course,
as well.
I like
Mike Brown.
I spoke about him. When I was proposing retaining Tom Thibodeau, bringing on Terry Stotts or Mike Brown as an offensive coordinator. One of the issues there was that Mike Brown, particularly, is a pretty loud indication to Thibodeau that you're willing to move on with someone like that on the bench. I think Mike Brown would do a good job as the head coach of the team. I think there's a lot of work that would need to be done early with regard to the front office and Brown sitting down and talking about where they see certain players' roles going, what the low-hanging fruit is in any adjustments for next season. To me, like an offensive usage increase or playtime increase for Deuce McBride jumps off the table as something that a next coach will swiftly implement.
Yeah.
With Brown, I really think there's something to he's gotten an unfair shake. And this is what I was thinking about with Jenkins earlier. Like, I think Brown is someone who's gotten an unfair shake. If the Sacramento Kings have the offseason that I think they might have, which I'm expecting to be a lot of rumors and not a lot of action, indicative of a bit of a mess, I think they will show that that team was not the perfect, young, burgeoning, bursting at the seams with potential. I really think Mike Brown got the most out of that group. And that's then, he was fired, but I'm not sure how much of that was really on him. You can go all the way back to coaching LeBron and be like, this guy has always just had some weird expectations on him. Like, he's kind of used to these gigs. Maybe now getting plugged in as the next mind of this Knicks contending run would be another odd situation that he could try and maneuver through and get some good years out of. The thing with Brown to me is he funnily enough has this offensive reputation, but like I just firmly see him as a defensive guy. Like when I see Mike Brown teams, I'm thinking about the defense first. I think a lot of fans conflate Brown's excellent coaching in Sacramento in the Beam season with the coaching that landed Jordi Fernandez a head coaching gig, which was running that team's offense. So I do think you'd be doing Mike Brown dirty by giving him a head coaching job and not immediately investing intense capital into his staff, into his assistants. Similarly to what the Knicks did when they brought on Woodson, Payne, Bryant, you name it, on top of Thibodeau and his kind of like lifers, his Tibbs lifers on the coaching staff. I think they'd need to undergo something similar with Brown here because I do think he would need help with the offense from some young, excited mind. I don't know who they'll be able to lure.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. It's very interesting with him, man. His first year, that Kings offense was first. Look, when you have Sabonis, you have Fox and those guys, like it's easy to see that, and seems like he got the most out of those guys. But the defense was 25th, and that also comes with having Sabonis and Fox and those guys on the team. The next year, he was. They were 13th in offense, 14th in defense, 17th in net rating. And then the final year where he got the short end of the stick, he gets fired. Doug Christie takes over. They finished 7th in offense, 23rd in defense, and 16th in net rating. Gets a lot of credit for the defense of the Golden State Warriors, those championship teams. A lot of guys say that he's a guy that can help this locker room get in order, help be more of a player's coach. So Mike Brown is interesting,
Yeah,
man.
I think there's something to the Knicks coaching staff not having Johnny Bryant this season for the first time in 5 years. And you look at over the years, right? They lose Payne, they lose Woodson. Some of these older coaches that are known as player coaches, that are known for their ability to relate to and work with players, as they kind of dropped like flies off of the Knicks coaching staff because they would get brain drained every year. People are like, wait, they're turning the Knicks around? Hold on, we got to get a piece of this pie. So they're pulling guys away, right? I don't know that, and maybe you can speak to this better than me. I feel like it's not a coincidence that the year that Bryant goes, and it really is an assistant coaching staff of Tibbs lifers and some guys that the Knicks got as well, like Mo Cheeks, a friend of Thibodeau's. Like now this year, all of a sudden, there are these like major communication issues defensively and between the players on the roster. To me, I don't know if that's an indictment on Tom Thibodeau so much as it is a show of how important some of those associate and assistant head coaches were to his staff overall. And now that they've been poached over the years, all of a sudden the Knicks are out there on defense and they tell someone to run right and they run left, and it's like, well, oh, okay, guess we're getting scored on again. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, man, because, I think that is in terms of the disconnect between Tibbs and the front office. There was that, his inability to consult or his inability to be collaborative. And, hey, that could have been a big reason why this thing kind of went south with the departure with Johnny Bryant.
Well, yeah, and an example of the collaboration aspect of it, because the reporting from Shams has been very uniform. New voice, next step, new voice, next step, new voice, next step. It's like, all right. It seems to me like, yeah, they wanted a new voice, but they want that voice to come from vocal cords of someone that's also more willing to work with the front office. Like, it's not just about a new voice to me.
Yeah.
I reported the other week that the front office suggested a lineup change to Tom Thibodeau during the Celtics series. The Knicks were winning the series at the time. Tom Thibodeau, between Chicago, Minnesota, and New York, had never changed the starting lineup during a playoff series if injury did not force it on him, if his team was not losing. So if he was tied in a series, never changed his lineup unless someone got hurt. If he was winning a series, has never changed the starting lineup during a playoff series unless someone got hurt or came back healthy. The Knicks are up 2-0. The front office suggests starting Robinson over Hart. They suggest looking into it. They suggest getting ready for the next round against Indiana, trying some different looks. Thibodeau says, we're up 2-0. We're going to do what's working. And then you get to the Indiana series, and in games, 97, 98, 99, and 100 of the Knicks season, in the 100th game of the season, they're throwing lineups at the wall they've never thrown at the wall before to see if they stick. So
Yeah.
if you're the front office, you're thinking, didn't we just tell this guy 7 days ago to try out some other lineups and that we would be okay with it? And if it didn't go well, we wouldn't blame him. And now all of a sudden, he's throwing everything at the wall, trying to see what'll stick. And it's the literal Eastern Conference Finals, and we're losing. Like, what? How do we get here? So, yeah, I think the Knicks want someone that's going to be more collaborative with them. That if a starting lineup suggestion is made all season long and then again in the playoffs and it's ignored, it's like, okay, well, maybe just do it. And like, it's tough,
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. CP the franchise, Kris Pursiainen in the building. Salute to all of our franchise channel members tapping in. Let's see who's on top of the leaderboard in the chat. My 2 cents currently leading the chat with 75 XP. We see the Architect in second place and Building Blocks 6-7. I don't see the full name here, but shout out to Building Blocks in here. But salute to everybody, man. Salute to Kara Goldenberg 45 as well. Aggravated man in here. He's in the chat being aggravated as usual. Okay, all right, Kris. Let's get to the mailbag because a lot of questions being asked here in the mailbag. So the first question is from our guy Jay from East New York. His question is, what are your thoughts on the young Knicks like Pacome Dadier, Tyler Kolek, Ariel Huckporty? Your thoughts?
I think Hook Porty is probably the one I'd answer about first. I think the Knicks are high on him internally. They like him a lot. This is someone who fell, quote unquote, in the draft because of past injury history and just worry overall that given his size that he would hold up. When it comes to what actually goes on the court, I think the Knicks are really high on him. I think they view his ability to read what's going on the floor as being potentially integral to any rotational involvement because of that Hartenstein-esque factor. And I'm not just saying this because he's a half German big that wears 55 and is a lefty. But his ability to make reads in the short roll. Like you saw Ivica Zubac find so much success with the Clippers this season in the short roll. It's always been a huge thing for a big that plays with James Harden to be able to make reads in the short roll. Well, if they want Jalen Brunson to be running a little more pick and roll, go get involved off the ball, take advantage of Brunson's elite off ball shooting, a center that can make those reads out of the short roll is important too. So I think Huck Porty fills that for sure. I would say with regard to the other three, McCullough still, the pH test hasn't come back yet on that. Like he was just got healthy, just got to play, but he looked good and effective and hardworking in the minutes he played in Westchester. I watched way more Westchester than I was expecting to this season, keeping an eye on some of these kids. Dadier, I think, did some of the right messing up in Westchester. Like, I think he did some good learning there. And I think defensively, that would be what gets him on the court, would be his defense. Like McCullough, I feel like is someone who, if Hart or Bridges or Anunoby, someone sustains an injury, yeah, you might throw him in with the bench unit just to not run a 7-man rotation or something. But
Yeah.
Dadier is someone to me who feels like less of a plug and play, more of a once this guy is ready, he will have a role. It's just a matter of getting him over the developmental humps with regard to creating his own shot, making the right reads in the passing game, and most importantly, defensive awareness and execution. Kolek, last but not least, I was like a huge proponent of the Knicks drafting him with the 23rd overall pick in the draft. So the fact that they, once again, like same with McBride, a guard that I thought they should really go after in the first round, they grab him in the second. Shows what I know about valuing prospects, right? They're the right guys, but at a very wrong range.
Yeah.
I think Kolek is someone who's just like not biding his time, but like is just he's just got to keep bulking up. He's just got to keep developing. We know he can bring something to the table right now on an NBA floor with regard to his passing ability. Does he have the strength and the ball handle to leverage that vision into actual assists? Like, can he collapse a defense in the paint? Probably not just yet. How do you do that? A floater, a runner. So little things like that, little developments like that, will go a long way for him. And I would expect whoever the Knicks bring in next at head coach to give all four of these kids some sort of regular season spin, at least before the new year, like before things get serious,
Yeah.
like Thibodeau had Dadier in the opening day rotation 2 years after he had two-way Jericho Sims in the opening day rotation. But, after a couple games, you didn't see any of those guys again. So we'll see, how that development has gone this offseason with regard to their ability to potentially contribute this year.
No, I agree with you there. I would say with the free agents class being lackluster, with the Knicks' financial situation not being the greatest, these guys are going to be very important. Their development is going to be very important. I'll be at Summer League this summer watching all these guys keenly to see how they're coming along and seeing what's what, because they're all could serve vital roles. You think about Huck Porty. Will the Knicks entertain a Mitch trade if it means getting more bench depth? Is Precious going to be back? Most likely not. So Huck Porty is going to be expected to slide right in there, and he definitely showed some bright spots in the regular season last year. His motor, his energy, and he also showed some moments where he was outmatched, and so he's got to get a lot smarter. He's got to slow it down a little bit in terms of how he's processing things, but no doubt he can help this team as a big off the bench. Kolek, another guy. The Knicks need ball handling. They need another point guard, and he can play make in his sleep. I think what's going to keep him playing is his ability to get his shot, be a little bit more unselfish, and also play some good defense. And he showed some bright spots defensively and some good instincts. But as you said, as he gets bigger and as he develops some more, I think he'll be in a pretty good spot. But I want to see him be a little bit more unselfish with getting his shot and also improving with his shot, because his three-point shot a lot of times was very short, and really he didn't really have that lift on his threes or the confidence either. But that should come. McCullers, let's see what happens in year 2. Like he said, this past year was more of a development year. Get healthy, get into the swing of things. But
yeah, that was an R&R. Like,
yeah,
I was talking with Sam Vecini last summer about potentially drafting McCullough, and he was like, I just wouldn't expect anything at all until the next draft. Like,
yeah.
he's gonna need time to recover. All of a sudden,
Sure.
I'm at the station. And I turn on the TV at MSG, and they've got this guy running around with a triple double, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, he's alive and well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's funny you say that about Kolek. Like, I think him being selfish would help. I think him looking for that floater, that runner in the lane, would make the defenses respect him to an extent where all of a sudden those no look flip lefty feeds to the other corner are happening, like you said, in his sleep.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, let's look at another question. Another one from Jay from East New York. He says, do you believe some of the appeal of a coach like Taylor Jenkins draws from the Knicks brass because they have a heap of young talent that he can maybe derive something great out of one of them? What do you think? Is that the Taylor Jenkins appeal?
I would say no.
Playing some of these young guys?
No. I would say that's like saying the appeal of a Rolls Royce is the fact that it has the thing to dry your umbrella. Like, that's something you're getting when you pay up, when you get that full package, you're getting that. But you got a car to get from A to B. You didn't get a car to dry off your umbrella. So at the end of the day, it's a great perk. It's a great pro. It's something that should be considered. The Knicks right now, I believe, with the firing of Tom Thibodeau, solidified a signaling that they believe they're in their title window now. That it starts this season, and they've got to make the most of it. So bringing in a coach that can help them make the most out of their roster is a huge part of that, but it's the NBA. It's a stars league. So that's always going to be more about the top of the roster than the bottom. If the Knicks wanted someone who they know could get good defense and good play out of young players and coach them up right away, Tom Thibodeau is probably the guy. Like, Pacome Dadier just did an interview in French after the season talking about how he played for a great coach for young players to start out their career with. He played for a coach that's known for development. And it's like, I wonder if you told your own fans that, what they'd say. Like, Tibbs is a good development coach. He is. Guys who play under him consistently develop into good players. And it's not, I don't think it's, too much of just correlation. I think there's some causation. The thing is, Tibbs, and one of the cons of Tibbs is he doesn't always give those players the opportunities to show the extent to which he's aided their development. So I think you'll see next season, if someone like Jenkins is the hire, I think you would see some of those young players get involved. But I don't think that would be why the Knicks hired him. I think that's like the leather seats in the car.
Yeah,
that's you're getting it, but it's an add-on. What you want is a coach who is going to give your contending roster the best chance to win a title. And I don't think playing a bunch of second-round draft pick rookies gets any team a title unless those rookies are Jokic, Ginobili, and Brunson. So, it's tough, but it's tough for me to say that's the main appeal.
Shout out to, let's get to the next question. Who's a good fit for the Knicks with the vet minimum and free agency? And this is from Danny Bloom on Twitter, but also Harlem's Alfredo franchise channel member, along the lines of that question. It says, Westbrook opted out. Do you think we should go after him? So, your thoughts. Vet minimum, and would you go after Brody?
Vet minimum, it's a good question. I think the Jones brothers, both of them intrigue me, Tyus and Trey. The Knicks were interested in Tyus last offseason. So were the Minnesota Timberwolves. But he ended up choosing to go team up with Kevin Durant in an effort to do like what Malik Monk did with the Lakers. Take a cheap deal, prove it, and then go out and get some money. The problem with the Phoenix Suns is there wasn't much playoff tape for him to show teams in negotiations this offseason. So Jones, if he's someone who signs again for the minimum, I think Tyus Jones would be a great option for the Knicks. Trey Jones, his younger brother, who played on that Duke team with Reddish, Barrett, and Williamson. Well, he's a beast, man. He's an awesome young player. He has a motor that is unstoppable. He is annoying on defense. He's like the heart and soul of any lineup when he's out there on it. He really is like a. I think New York would become endeared to him quickly. Again, he's much younger. He should get much more money. If he wants to take some sort of a prove it deal, I think he would be a great ad. The other guy is Malcolm Brogdon. Like
Yeah.
another guard they could grab on a minimum, but injury risk and you know I remember the Knicks were interested in Brogdon like a couple years ago, and he told them he wanted to be a starter if they traded for him, and it's like, well, really, man? Like what? So I don't know if the fit is there. I do know just looking at like I want to say Dennis Schroeder is a free agent. If you're going with a guard that isn't known as a shooter, I would go with him.
Yeah.
Because he at least puts a lot of pressure on the rim. Russell Westbrook, I think the easy counterpoint to a Brody signing would be Josh Hart being such an important part of this Knicks roster. You're basically saying with Hart and Robinson coming off the bench that you're going to play Russell Westbrook with the starters. Because if your plan is to play Westbrook, Hart, and Robinson together, I don't know that you have a good plan. And so just from a fit perspective, like those are like, I still think Westbrook is giving teams his best and is someone who is still worth your time if you're a team. Maybe like, like I could see Atlanta going after him. I could see Charlotte going after him. I think the Knicks would be better off getting a Javon Carter or just a different type of player. I know he has a player option, but just a different type of player.
Yeah.
It's nothing about Westbrook's ability, a different kind of player. A dream ad for this Knicks team would be Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but he's going to get much more money than they have because he's quite good.
Yeah. There you go, man. Well, let the people know what you're working on, man.
Like I said, hoping to have some updates on the Taylor Jenkins stuff in the coming days. Also looking to shake some more trees and see if I can't find out some more college names that I am actually able to report. You know, it's tough with college coaches in the NIL era. They need their donors to think that the first, second, third, and fourth jobs they're interested in are all where they are right now. So the college guys don't really want anything getting out unless it's clear it's not happening. Hence my John Calipari report from yesterday about how it's not happening. But like, hopefully as the Knicks continue to work down that list, I'm able to share more of the names that I've heard regarding their interest in coaches at the college level. You can always just check me out at Kris Pursiainen on Twitter. It's a little bit like your cat walked across your keyboard. So if you just want to go KRISP and try and figure out the rest from there, you'll find me. You can just Google me too. I'll come up because thank God for the rest of the world. No one else has got this damn name. Lucky for them. But yeah, CP, man, most importantly, thank you.
For sure.
The work you do is fantastic. As someone who, you know, now at 23 years old is lucky enough to be able to look down press row as some of the vets on the beat, and then also look at my phone at the social media world that I'm so entrenched in, like, it's very clear to me that like Bagley, you, Macri, like there are certain pillars of the Knicks community. I don't mean the team. I don't mean there are certain people that the Knicks community just really see as family. And you're easily one of those guys. The way people talk about you when you're not there is of the highest regard. I had a guy recognize me at a bar one time, like not a Knicks bar, like just like I'm out at a bar with my friends. And a guy comes up to me, nicest dude, recognizes me. Literally, like the fourth thing out of his mouth was like, "Do you know CP? Do you know CP too?" And it's like, yeah, man, yeah, I know CP. Come on, I know CP.
Yeah.
Like, so just wanted to take my time to give you the flowers while they're still fresh, man. Appreciate you. You're the GOAT.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend, and once we get some more updates, we'll bring you back in, man. Appreciate it.
Sounds like a plan. Hope everyone has a great weekend that's tuned in.
Yes, sir. Our guy Kris Pursiainen, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. I'm staying on, man. I'm staying on. We're going to take some calls. We're going to finish up the mailbag. Let's talk about the coaching situation. How do you guys feel about it? Who do you guys want? Throw your picks in the chat. Let's hear about it. We got almost 1,000 people in here, and we're creeping up on 100,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to get there before next season starts. I think we'll get there within the next couple of weeks because the machine is on overdrive right now in Knicks Fan TV with all the content that we are dropping. But all the support from you guys is very much appreciated. I want to salute my franchise channel members in the chat. Absolutely. If you are a franchise channel member, throw a salute in the chat and let me know that you guys are in here. Okay. I also want to shout out one of our sponsors of today. Check out cargurus.com. And whether you want to buy or sell your car, check out cargurus.com to do that. One of the most visited sites for cars, the number one visited site for cars, actually, cargurus.com. So make sure that your next deal is the best deal with Car Gurus. Shout out to our guys. Okay, let's get to the phones. LD, go ahead and unmute your mic. LD.
What's going on, Chief?
How you
I
doing,
wanted to
man?
second what he said. I've never done it, so I need to do it. Shout you out, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Honestly, shout you out. You've done a great job. The man in the arena. I don't know if you know that quote from Theodore Roosevelt.
You had mentioned it, man. I didn't look it up.
Yes,
it's on my list.
Look it up when you get a chance. The man in the arena. It's about the guy who's in the front line doing the thing that's getting whether praised or critiqued that gets the praise. So shout out to you.
Appreciate it,
and
man.
your team. You guys do a great job.
Appreciate it.
No doubt. So I have just two questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, I don't know if you have any idea of this, but firing Tibbs, was that a Leon decision, team-wide decision, Dolan decision? Like, whose decision was that overall?
Yeah.
From what you know.
Yeah, I don't know, like, percentage-wise what to put it on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Leon was part of it and Wes as well. Like, this is his guy here. You know what I mean? This is a family. But obviously with Dolan being the owner, he's going to sign off on it. You're paying the guy $30 million to sit at home. Of course, Dolan's going to be in the exit interviews. Of course, Dolan sees everything that was going on all year. He's right there 2 feet away from the bench. 2 feet away from the bench. They're traveling with the team on road games to the playoffs. Like, they're watching everything. So I think this was a collaborative decision, Dolan and Leon, if I had to take a guess here.
Gotcha. And then the second question would be, do you believe a coaching hire can sway Vegas odds, like Vegas betting odds for championships and things of that sort? Do you believe like a coaching hire can sway Vegas odds?
I mean, unless it's like Eric Spoelstra, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like, unless it's Spoelstra, but either way, I would expect the Knicks to be like top 5, top 3 in terms of championship. Yeah, in terms of championship odds, I would have to think it's going to be Pacers, Thunder, or whatever order. It's going to be, Knicks, Timberwolves, Cavs in some sort of arrangement there. So they'll be there, top 3, 4.
Yeah, I'm asking that because I want to know. From last week, the conversation was Jason Kidd, that got declined. And then we had the conversation about the coaches who we believe are great coaches already being hired. So with the coaching pool that we have left, the names being mentioned, Mike Brown and the Grizzlies ex-coach, do we believe we get further than ECF and championship, or are we kind of in the same arena? Like, what's the mood?
For me, man, like, I just have to keep an open mind and see how number one, how the team responds. Do they like the message? What the system is? What the philosophy is? Are they buying in? Right. Who's going to be on the bench? I think there's a lot of factors that's going to play into the success of this head coach. No one is going to be able to guarantee anything, even if it is a Spoelstra or whoever it is. No one's going to be able to guarantee anything until these guys get on the court and execute. Is part of that going to be their chemistry, building another year together with Towns and Bridges? I think that'll also factor into it. Health will factor into it. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of inputs into this thing that will ultimately determine how successful this new coaching hire is going to be.
That makes sense. But again, boss, I got to say it again. Shout out to you. Shout out to CK. Shout out to JD, Alex. You guys do an amazing job. Thanks for this community. You guys are great.
Appreciate it, man.
Shout out.
Appreciate it. Are you still out in the West? Are you going to pull up to Vegas on this, man?
I'm in the West, bro. You know I live in Cali, right?
Like, I had no idea. No clue.
Yeah, I live in Cali, but I'm in Phoenix right now for work. But
okay,
if you're in Vegas, I'll shoot out to Vegas.
Summer League, man. Summer
I'm trying to
League.
see Tyler Kolek
Yeah.
win that MVP, so I'll be out there.
Yeah, pull
If
up
it's
to
a go,
Summer
I'm
League,
go.
man. We'll
I got you.
announce the
I got
formal plan soon, but I think the Knicks fan meetup is either going to be on July 12th or 13th. We're still finalizing
No
plans
doubt.
and venue and everything with our
I'm out
guys
there.
at Knicks
I'm
Film
out
School.
there.
All right, man.
I wear
LD.
my Tibbs shirt too.
All right, no doubt. Appreciate
All
it.
right, stay up.
LD on the check-in. Salute to LD. And salute to everybody in the chat once again, man. Yeah, we will be doing the Vegas meetup. It's a great time if you guys can make it out there. Number 1, Summer League. Number 2, for the Knicks fan meetup. Always a good time. And just a great opportunity to just watch the Knicks youngsters. You got Cooper Flag, all the new draft picks playing in those games. Very casual affair. $35, and you get to watch games all day long for $35. You sit where you want to sit. There's 2 gyms in the Thomas & Mack Arena, so you just check the schedule, see who's playing, and just go back and forth. It's a great time. Shout out to everybody that does go down to go out to Vegas rather for Summer League. June 17th, this Tuesday, is going to be our 8th year anniversary, the 8th year anniversary of KnicksFanTV, man. So I got to plan a show. We got to plan something, man, and celebrate the anniversary. But we definitely appreciate everybody for the support. Okay, let's get to some more people on the Discord. Soohoo Sam, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, CP. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, man. Where are you calling in from, bro?
Calling from Boston.
Beantown. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, huge New York fan, but I'm out here only because for a job. You know what I mean? Always been a diehard New York fan. I'm actually going to go to the Yankees game tonight.
Okay.
At Fenway Park.
Oh, okay. That should be interesting, man. Hopefully Judge hits one over the monster, man.
That was a huge game last night too. I mean, they got that nice sweep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm hoping, and the hitting's coming through, but I'm hoping the pitching, pitching a little shaky, but I think we'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah.
I got 2 questions for you though.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of bizarre that we have 5 coaching denials in the span of 2 days reported by Shams.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is all just a smokescreen?
No, I don't think the denials are a surprise. You have established teams who are not interested in letting their coaches go anywhere. But, for the Knicks, I think that due diligence is still needed in this process because you just never know. Like, hey, is Jason Kidd on solid ground with the Mavs? Does he want to stay? Does he want to go? I don't necessarily think that's a smokescreen. You want to be able to talk to the guys that you feel like can help your team. If they're available, they're available. If not, they're not. But I still think the Knicks do have their list of guys. They do have their rankings. Like, these are the guys that we want. They didn't reach out to Miami. They didn't reach out to Golden State. So, no, I don't necessarily think it's a smokescreen. I think it's part of the process, man.
Yeah, I just think, I get as a diehard Knicks fan since '94, watching Patrick Ewing. It's just so shocking to me to see all these headlines about these Knicks right now. I mean, these whole Knicks for clicks narratives. Yeah. I'm so tired of it. If this happened to like Utah, I guarantee like ESPN wouldn't bat an eye on it.
Well, it's New York. Nobody cares about Utah. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're here. That's why Knicks Fan TV was how it became Knicks Fan TVs, because this is what the mainstream media likes to jump on. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So yeah. Appreciate the call, man.
I just have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for free agency, what do you think of the idea of Al Horford joining the Knicks?
He'd be low priority. For me, he'd be low priority. I'm looking at the guards first. I like Chris's suggestion. I mentioned it on my show with Kevin O'Connor. I want to look at the Jones brothers. I think the Knicks really need another playmaker, another ball handler off the bench. Jones brothers. The Brody thing, Brody's just so hard to watch, man. He's just so hard to watch. But, like, again, as a guy who can, use his athleticism still, get to the paint, play make, all that is good. But then you're stuck with him and Josh Hart coming off the bench. So that's not so good. I look at the Jones brothers first. Horford, yeah, look, if you can get him on a vet minimum, he's a champion. He's a solid veteran, sure. And they could use some big man front court depth as well. But, I wouldn't be rushing to get Al Horford in there first day of free agency.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for taking our call. I just want to give a shout out to you and for having an awesome year this year. Going to continue watching, supporting. I always watch you first, and then and then KFS. But
Yeah,
you
shout out my
two are
guys.
my main go-to Knicks content. So
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
all the hard work you do.
Appreciate that, man. Shout out my guys, Jonathan Macri, Andrew Claudio, Jeff Johnson, all my guys at the Knicks Film School, man. Absolutely. So salute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, what do you guys think, man? Vet minimum. I pulled up Bobby Marks's. This is Bobby Marks's off-season chart, if you will. And like he mentioned on the show when he was on here, shout out to Bobby. He's always a great guest and always gives us a lot of valuable insight from the front office perspective. The challenge here with the Knicks, free agency-wise, is that while they will have the taxpayer mid-level exception, which he doesn't have outlined here, but it's around $5.9 million. If they use any of that money, they will trigger the second apron. So I think the most likely scenario is that you're going to see more guys coming in here on the vet minimum. So, Campaign probably goes, Precious probably goes, PJ Tucker probably goes, and then you slide in 3 vet minimum guys there. Maybe Delon Wright goes. You slide in 3 vets, 3 or 4 vets right there. They bring back Shamet probably. I think that's the most likely scenario. Now, the good thing is that the vet minimum number is fairly close to that taxpayer mid-level exception. It's a little bit below. So they should be able to get by there. But again, man, you're talking about getting vet minimum contracts here to fill out this bench. That is why the draft picks are going to be so important. And that is why this next coach being able to squeeze every ounce of productivity out of this roster is going to be very, very important for this team. Okay. All right, back to the phones we go. Let me get STG Nick in the building, man. STG. How you feeling, bro? Do we have STG?
Yo, what's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Another name that I was looking at for potentially, I don't know if he would be minimum, but he'd be close to it, was what about Malcolm Brogdon? A reason I don't really love Tyus Jones is because do you really want another small guard? Because then our 3 guards are going to be Brunson, Deuce, and Tyus Jones.
Yeah.
I like Brogdon because he's 6'4", gives you a little size, he's steady, you know what he's going to bring. And I know the Knicks had interest last off, 2024 deadline, when they traded Quick and those guys. But I just think I don't know if Brogdon would definitely be a realistic possibility or not. Kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd go after Brogdon. I wouldn't be averse to a Brogdon pickup. Let's see, regular season, 12 points. He only shot 28% from 3. What happened to his 3-ball this season? 43% from the field, 12-4. I wouldn't be against the Brogdon pickup. It was kind of we've been chasing that Brogdon name for damn near 5 years, man. So
Yeah, definitely. And another concern with him as well is going to be the injuries, because I know he's been relatively injury prone over the course of his career.
That's right.
And then another thing too is I would assume Precious is probably most likely going to be gone. So then do you look to replace him with someone externally, or do you just play internally there? Because I'm assuming the bench is going to be Mitch off the bench, depending on how the new coach wants to go. But Mitch off the bench, maybe Hart off the bench, and then you're right, they just need another guard off the bench. So
Yeah.
I think that would probably be the main thing they try to look for this summer.
At that, you lose Precious. I think they definitely need another 3, 4, 5 kind of hybrid, somebody that could play those positions and be a bit versatile. That's where the Horford pickup is a little bit intriguing, even though he's old, but he can still shoot. He could still give you that veteran tact, if you will. Savvy.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
the only thing with Horford is I feel at this age, and his relationships over there with Boston, I feel for him it's going to be Boston or retire at this point, just because he's been there for so long. And I remember he had a stint in Oklahoma City and Philly. He did not look right. Went back to Boston and revitalized his career again.
Yeah. I mean, you got to go all the way down the list. Now, we did talk about, me and KOC did talk about a guy like a Larry Nance Jr. I'd be very interested in speaking to him. Larry Nance Jr. shot 44% from 3. 8 points, 4 rebounds last year with the Hawks. Taurean Prince, not really a power forward, but can play the 3. I'd be interested in him as well on a vet minimum.
Yeah, Torian Prince would be
Yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah.
just sort of guys like that, space to floor, kind of like 3-and-D, cheap 3-and-D wings,
Right.
that kind of player hybrid. So, yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
more will become available as this summer goes
Yeah.
along. But pretty much what I want to say there. And I guess just another quick question before I go is with that 50th pick coming up, do you think they use it, or do you think they just trade back the 2026 draft?
It's a good question. We'll have to wait and see. Do they use a roster spot there, or do they try to bring in another veteran? It's a good question. Not too sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, one last quick point is, like, I would think they would have to have a decision on the coach by July 1st, because I know that I've heard that they want to be extensive with this search process and everything, but, like, I don't see how they go into free agency without a coach, because they're going to make decisions based off that coach.
I would have to think so. Like, the message I got was, within a week or so, we should have a bit more clarity. So let's see. But I can't see them, preparing for their draft, if they are going to go into a draft or free agency for that matter, without a coach. That would be crazy.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time, CP.
No problem, man. Have a good day, STG Nick on the Discord. If you guys are on the grind right now, if you guys are working, it is Friday. It's a beautiful day here in New York, man. Throw a hashtag grind in the chat. I'll shout you guys out. Shout out to Jordan in the chat. Says, I'm in here. I'm not working. It's Friday. So he said, forget work. He's in here with us, man. He's vibing. So salute. Drink some water here. I had to catch up, man. Me and wifey had a classic night last night. I had a classic LES type of night last night. Shout out to my guy, Eddie Huang. Pulled up on Eddie. He's got a pop-up shop there in the Lower East Side at the Flower Shop, where he'll be whipping up some of his culinary classics there. So shout out to Eddie, man. He had kind of like a grand opening type of vibe. Went there, partied it up. Scotch was flowing. Had a good night, man. It was a classic LES night, man. I forgot about those days. We had a great night last night. So I'm kind of paying for it right now. I got to make sure I'm staying hydrated. So, yeah, shout out to my guy Eddie, man. We had a good time at the Flower Shop last night in the LES. Shout out to J. Cole. He's on the grind. J. Cole, salute to you, man. And Banks, salute. Who else we got in here? It's Big Hurt. Okay, salute to you. Eric L. Beats in here. Hot Dorito, salute. Okay, let's get back to some more of your questions here, and then I got a couple of worst takes I want to react to. My guy Jay from Florida says, is the KD thing possible? Is the KD thing possible? All this talk, Kevin Durant, is he going to get traded? Where's he going to go to? I mentioned on my show with Kevin O'Connor here earlier this week, I don't expect the Knicks to be major players here in the KD sweepstakes. There was a report by Shams that they made a deadline offer. I heard that's complete cap, that they never did, and I don't expect them to jump into the KD thing. I think it's going to be Houston or San Antonio, maybe Minnesota as a dark horse, but the whole talk between and he he claims the Heat are interested as well. I don't see the Knicks being into that. And also on the Giannis front, it hasn't been reported whether or not he's going to leave the Bucks, but the Knicks know, like we all do, that they're a long shot to go get Giannis. But they will make a play if he does ask out. But you're looking at a Hail Mary type of situation here when it comes to Giannis. And I wouldn't expect a KD move by this team either. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Let's see. What else we got? See. Do they buy an extra second-round pick this year? This is from Knicks Rant. Do you think the Knicks may buy an extra second-round pick in this year's draft to help with the roster with small money contracts? I doubt it. I think they'd be looking for more vets, more guys that can win right now, that can play right now, rather than dipping into the draft. KFTV Jalen, best place to eat in the Bronx. What do you guys think? What's the best place to eat in the Bronx? My childhood memories of the Bronx, we used to go to City Island, man. I used to go to Sammy's. Anybody from the BX know about that Sammy's wave in City Island? Used to go to Sammy's, boy. Mother's Day, Easter. Man, you already know. Sammy's, the line is out the door for people waiting on reservations. That's where we used to go. I used to go to Sammy's. Yeah, absolutely. And not in the Bronx, but there's this dope Croatian restaurant me and wifey hit up. I think it's in New Rochelle. Fire. It's called Dubrovnik. Fire. Not the Bronx, but a little bit past. Very good restaurant. Yeah, Sammy's on City Island, man. Absolutely. That was the joint. That was the joy, man. That was my childhood memories, man. Because my grandparents used to live in the Bronx. God rest their soul. Miss them dearly. But yeah, that used to be the family tradition, man. City Island. Go there. Birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. Hit up that Sammy's. Absolutely. And get it in. All right, let's see. Yeah, I see a lot of people repping that Sammy's. Big Surge. Give me some recommendations in the Bronx. Surge knows about that Sammy's vibe. All day, Darnell, big money. All day. Okay, let's see. Big Surge says Memphis is desperate for a 3-and-D wing, and we need a stretch 4, 6'10" or taller who can D. Triple J for OG or Bridges? Thoughts? I'd love to get Triple J in here. I would love to. At the expense of OG? I'm not so sure I'd do that. Not so sure. But Triple J is like, he's like the prototypical, he'd be the prototype 5 who I want to play alongside Karl Anthony Towns. Triple J had a great year. He had an all-star year this year. Sammy's, the Lobster Box. Absolutely. Henny Coladas all day at City Island. Yeah, I'll know. New York forever. Any major trade? No. Okay. EJ Pierre says, how much of a voice does Gerson Rosas have in the front office? He appears to be the main basketball guy compared to Wesley and Leon. Since his promotion to VP of Basketball Ops, the decision-making appears to be more aggressive. McCall trade, Tibbs firing. Well, we do know that he was the guy, primarily the front guy in the Spider trade negotiations. You could also connect the dots that in their interest in Chris Finch, he was probably spearheading that, trying to get to talk to Chris Finch out of Minnesota. So I think he does have some sway here and influence. And as a former president of basketball operations or GM of the Timberwolves, you can pretty much factor him in that same sort of role here with the Knicks as a consultant and what have you. But he's very hands-on. Every time I go to the Garden, he's there with them. So he's definitely there. All right, let's see what else. Let me get to... Hang tight. See what other questions we want to get to here. CP the Franchise here. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Salute to our sponsors of today, Car Gurus. Go to cargurus.com to buy or sell your car and get the best deal. Mendoza tweets, is Malik Beasley a possible all-season target for the Knicks with our current cap situation? How can the next head coach put Brunson and Towns in situations where they can coexist on the floor together as starters, knowing that they are a liability on the defensive end? From a Malik Beasley standpoint, I would find it very difficult to see his market plummet to vet minimum status. He'd be a great addition here, but I can't see him leaving Detroit. He had an excellent record-breaking year. He was excellent for them in the regular season. A major part of them resurging into playoff form. I have a hard time seeing Malik Beasley getting vet minimum range, which is what the Knicks would be able to afford. But hey, if he shakes loose, hey, absolutely take a look at him. Absolutely take a look at him. And then the question about Towns and Brunson coexisting, very difficult. I think it is going to be very difficult. But we'll see what the new coach's philosophy will be. At this point, Towns is Towns defensively. He is who he is. If you're going to trot him out there, start him at the 5, I don't know how any coach gets the most out of that. And so that is why I believe they have to see if they can get more offensively to try to outscore these teams. And then, look, you stagger these guys defensively. You incorporate Mitch, whether it's just as a starter or as a very important reserve. You add some more wing depth defensively. Can Dadier get into the rotation here? And then you see what you can unleash with this team offensively to try to counter that. But it's going to be very hard on the defensive side of things. So, yeah. But good question there by Mendoza Tweets. Okay, what else we got here? Just going through some of the questions. Okay. All right, I think we got through quite a bit here. So shout out to everybody that submitted their questions. We'll do another one next Friday. We'll do another fan mailbag next Friday. Happy early Father's Day to the dads in the chat, man. Salute to you guys, you know? Father's Day is always looked at as like an afterthought. The mothers get the first wave in May, and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Father's Day is in June. Well, happy Father's Day to all the dads in KFTV Nation and Knicks Nation. Especially all the dads on Team KFTV, man. Like JD, Alex, Gamba, Chris LeBron, Jeff Campbell. Shout out to all the dads, all the KFTV dads as well, man. You guys are appreciated. CK2K, he's a dad as well. So shout out to you guys, man. Dad life is the best life. All right, we should do a little worst take. We haven't done worst take in a little while. And when it comes to the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, the worst takes are flying. Here, there, and everywhere. All right, so let's go. Where are we going to go first here on worst take? Let me see. Okay, I got one here. I got one here. All right, so let me just preface this by saying, for those of you that are new here to the show, this next segment here is called Worst Take, where we react to Knicks takes from across the NBA media landscape. We play the soundbite, and you guys at home be the judge. Rate the take, 1 being trash, 5 being facts. First up is the legend, Magic Johnson. And he has a take on what the Knicks should do this offseason from a trade standpoint. Let's hear from Magic. This was courtesy of ESPN's Get Up just yesterday. Here's the legend. Here we go.
I don't think they're going to get Giannis. I think...
Hang on. Let me get the volume up here. Okay. Here's Magic.
I don't think they're going to get Giannis. I think Giannis stays in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. But Kevin Durant, that's an interesting piece. If I'm the Knicks, the Knicks are too slow. They're not going to beat Indiana next year or these other teams. They got to get a little faster, right? And to me, Kevin Durant will allow them to get faster and be a guy that can help Brunson in the fourth quarter. You're relying on Brunson so much, one guy can't get you there. You got to give him some help. Kevin Durant will be a guy who will give you some help on the offensive end. Plus, he's able to put the teams that they play against in foul trouble. I like Kevin Durant playing with the Knicks. I really do. A champion. He can teach the other guys how to win the championship. That would be important. But the main thing here is everybody's got to step up, Jay, and be better next season.
Okay, what do we think there? Rate that take in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Is it tomatoes? Is it fire for our guy Magic Johnson? I love Magic, man. He's a great businessman, very charismatic. I like what they should be having him on the NBA Finals coverage. I talked about that the other day on the NBA Report. The coverage is terrible. The panels is straight terrible. But anyway, on his KD take, I'm sorry, Magic. I gotta rate that like a 3, even a 2. I'm not trading for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant I'm not giving up 2 players. I'm not trading Cat for him. I'm not giving up 2 players because if it's not Cat, it's going to be a combination of Hart, McCall, OG, somebody else to make the salaries work. Doesn't make sense for the Knicks. You have to trade for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. Then you have to pay him the next year. It's basically a rental because then you got to pay him beyond 38 and beyond. Why would we do that? Now, Magic does have points in that the Knicks do need to play faster. I agree with that. Is he a more bona fide scorer in crunch time that I would trust over like a Karl-Anthony Towns or anybody not named Brunson? I agree with that. But everything else is just not, we don't need that. A 37-year-old KD, often injured as he's gotten later in his career. So much mileage on those wheels. I'm sorry, Magic. But that is a bad take. We're not going for it. I just don't believe in that, man. But you guys let me know what you think in the chat. Rate that take in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Now, here is the next worst take. And this is from a worst take Hall of Famer. He goes by the name of Kris Pursiainen. And everybody's got a take on this Knicks coaching situation. Now, let's hear what Kris Pursiainen had to say. This is courtesy of First Things First, their show on Fox Sports. Here's Kris Pursiainen. Here we go.
Look, if Leon Rose and West, Worldwide West, William Wesley, are running this thing, I have no doubt that they've got something going on that hasn't been reported. Because Leon doesn't talk to the press.
Yep.
So, and they've made a lot of moves that nobody reported, in the past. So, if they have control, then I think, they got something going on. But if Dolan's in control, and I think he is, because I don't know if you're going to defend this or not, Nick, but I don't see any other front office. I don't see any reasonable front office people doing this. To ask about one coach, maybe two is even a lot. To ask about a coach or two, though, that already have a job, that's one thing.
Yeah, maybe you have an inside track.
Right. Like, he wants out. He's not happy.
Yeah.
What? 5?
I don't think they're done.
5? They're not.
I don't think they're done.
They're waiting for the end of this finals. Rick Carlisle, Dagnault, win or lose, one of them's probably getting the call as well.
I would think Ty Lue. If I'm Ty Lue, I'm
Lue,
offended.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I have no doubt, honestly, I really believe this. If Michael Malone and Taylor Jenkins had not been fired, I bet you the Knicks would ask for permission to talk to them. I'm not even playing. They're out there, though, but we haven't heard anything else.
All right, I'm gonna save you from the rest of the squealing by Kris Pursiainen. Rate that take in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. So here we have another guy who is outright against this process. What are they doing? Couple things I gotta address. You hear this a lot from the people. First things first. Leon Rose, they don't talk to the media about their plans. They've done a lot of things that no one has reported. Well, for you guys that watch this show, that's wrong. That's just flat out wrong. The people that always lean on the Leon doesn't talk to anybody, no, he's just not talking to you. So that's the difference. He's not talking to you. That's it. Now, the whole thing about the process, what are they doing? Look, man, you're doing your homework. Doesn't matter if it's 1, doesn't matter if it's 5. You're doing your homework. Who's available? Is this guy available? Hey, can we talk to this guy? Whether or not they get granted or denied, it doesn't matter. Go through your process. There's no rush. There's absolutely no rush. And do I believe that these guys have a leaderboard of guys who they want? Sure. And we will find out in due time. Now, another thing where he's wrong, and this is an established journalist. All these journalists talk about Michael Malone. He's not a candidate. Not a candidate. Even if he was with Denver, they would not be calling to talk to Michael Malone. That's another thing. Just wait and see how it plays out. Now, we're hearing Taylor Jenkins is a candidate. Shout out to Ian. Mike Brown as well. We had mentioned Mike Brown earlier when Tibbs was first fired. And as I told you guys earlier this week, Johnny Bryant is still on the list. He's got many fans in the organization, including the man at the top. But Leon will ultimately make the call here. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But shout out to Kris Pursiainen. You guys rate that call. Rate the take in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Leon doesn't talk to anybody. No, man. They just don't talk to you. Speak for yourself. All right? Speak for yourself. Okay. All right, the last one I want to get to here. Oh, this one was a doozy. Hang on, I'm just circling through here. Okay. Oh, yeah, this one was a doozy. Our guy, No Chill Gil. Gilbert Arenas. Here we go. Because you know he's not short on worst takes. This is a worst take Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, if this show's for you, no shade to you, man. You're into what you're into. Some people like the theatrics and some people like the yapping. It ain't for me. But I'll let you be the judge. Here's Gilbert Arenas on the Gil's Arena show on the Knicks coaching search. Here we go.
What you're doing is you're offering a job to people that already got jobs, knowing what the answer is. So you pretending for the world that you actually looking for a job, and then you're gonna settle with Rick. Oh man,
couldn't get nobody.
Yeah, we couldn't find nobody. Everybody rejected the job, so we just go ahead and just give it to Rick. Y'all slick.
Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson's father.
Just go ahead and give Rick the job, man. I don't think nobody's gonna mind.
We had a very extensive coaching search. We couldn't. But we had our coach here all along.
Because I can tell you that all the free agent coaches, they ain't offer them no jobs. They're only offering people who got jobs.
Which is crazy, right? This is crazy.
I just had to give that worst take a moment of silence. Because, I mean, listen, man. This is new media. This is your new media here. This is all the rage. I mean, Gil really put the tinfoil kufi on for that one. They're doing all of this. All of this is a smoke screen to just give Rick the job. Hey, this is your show, ladies and gentlemen, called Worst Take. You be the judge. Rate that take in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. I mean, the take, it speaks for itself. The joke writes itself, ladies and gentlemen. This is the new media. This is what we've been waiting for. The evolution from the Players Tribune. Now all these guys got podcasts, and everybody is just yapping. This is why we're here at KnicksFanTV, ladies and gentlemen. To have constructive conversations about the team we love. Because if you go outside, you ain't getting it. That's just the bottom line. Let the tomatoes fly and let some make ketchup out of these guys. you just can't make it up. They're doing all this search to just give it to Rick. Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan, Gil. Sounds like you got them all figured out. You can't make it up, bro. Can't make it up. But anyway, man, that was today's show. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button. Hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. 1,000 people here on the lunchtime check-in. Salute to you guys. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend. All the dads out there, happy Father's Day to you. Put your feet up, get catered to, get you a steak, get you a sandwich, a beer, a scotch. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Let the lady, let the kids take care of you, man. It is your day, it is your weekend, it is your time. Make sure you guys are doing whatever it is that makes you happy, man, in life, man, and enjoy the weekend. I certainly will, man. Gonna have some family time myself. Go out with little man. We're gonna have an all sports day. So we're gonna start from taekwondo tomorrow to baseball, soccer. We got basketball. We're gonna go hoop it up, riding the bikes. We're doing everything tomorrow, man. So this weekend rather. So very much looking forward to that. And I hope all the dads in KFTV Nation enjoy your day, enjoy your time. Salute to our franchise channel members, Nicholas Braxton. Salute to you, Armand Dutta. Salute to you, DJ Edsy, checking in from the UK. Salute, man. My 2 cents, always appreciated. Finishes at the top of the leaderboard. Eddie Suarez Kane, he crept up to second place. And Hot Dorito as well, man. Keith Turner was in here chatting it up. Shout out to Keith. And yeah, man, salute to you guys, man. All right, so hey, listen, stay tuned for any more coaching updates. We'll have it for you. We'll get to it, and we will react to it accordingly. But until then, I'll see you guys next time, man. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.